Good afternoon, listeners. Very welcome to the program. You're listening to SIRAJ ZAIDI until 4 o'clock. This is your own local broadcaster, SIRAJ ZAIDI, until 4 o'clock, India time until 9:30, because there are 5.5 hour difference. So therefore, it's starting at the 8:30 until 9:30 India time. And wherever else in the world you are, you can work it out what exactly is the time. So very welcome to the program. It's a weekly program. Apna Radio, broadcasting at 93.9 Dublin South FM. So the weather. I'm not going to talk about the weather yet. But the week is here, and the week of the week, what we call it, the news of the week. So there you go. Newsroom is here, and Charmaine will talk about it, what's going on in India. So Charmaine, you take it away.
Good afternoon. I'm Charmaine Colvin, and you are listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM. On India this week, aviation safety campaigners in the United States say they have evidence a plane that crashed in India last year had previously suffered a series of technical failures, including an in-flight fire. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner crashed on the 12th of June, shortly after taking off from Ahmedabad en route to London, killing 260 people. The Foundation for Aviation Safety, a US campaign group, has sent a presentation to the US Senate outlining its findings, which it says are based on documents that have come into its possession. The official investigation into the accident is ongoing. However, an interim report published in July sparked widespread speculation and controversy. Boeing declined to comment. The aircraft involved in the accident, registered as VTANB, was one of the earliest 787s to be built. It first flew in late 2013 and entered service with Air India in early 2014. The Foundation for Aviation Safety says documents show that the plane experienced system failures from its very first day in service for Air India. It alleges these were caused by a wide and confusing variety of engineering, manufacturing, quality and maintenance problems. The failures included electronics and software faults, circuit breakers tripping repeatedly, damage to wiring, short circuits, loss of electrical current, and overheating of power system components. The Foundation's report has been sent to the US Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, which last year held hearings into Boeing's broken safety culture. It says its concerns about the 787 go beyond the aircraft involved in that accident. It says it has also examined some 2,000 reports of failures on hundreds of other aircraft in the US, Canada and Australia. Boeing has always maintained that the 787 is a safe aircraft with a strong record. Prior to the Ahmedabad crash, it had operated for nearly a decade and a half without a single fatality. A dispute that began over heating a dish in a microwave has ended with 2 Indian students winning a $200,000 settlement from a US university. Aditya Prakash and his fiancée Urmi Bhattacharya filed a civil rights lawsuit against the University of Colorado Boulder after they faced a series of microaggressions and retaliatory actions following the microwave incident. The harassment began, the lawsuit alleged, after a university staff member objected to Prakash heating up his lunch of palak paneer, one of northern India's most popular dishes, made of pureed spinach and paneer, considered an Indian equivalent of cottage cheese, in a microwave on campus because of the way it smelled. The university has said it will not comment on the specific circumstances surrounding the students' claims of discrimination and harassment due to privacy laws, but added it was committed to fostering an inclusive environment for all students, faculty and staff, regardless of national origin, religion, culture, and other classes protected under US laws and by university policies. Prakash said for them the point of the lawsuit was not the money. It was about making a point that there are consequences to discriminating against Indians for their Indianness, he said. Prakash said what they wanted from the university was to be heard and understood, for their hurt and pain at being othered to be acknowledged and for amends to be made in a meaningful way. They claimed that they never received a meaningful apology from the university. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party chose a little-known legislator from India's poorest state as the party's youngest president on Tuesday, a generational shift in the effort to retain young voters. Nitin Nabin, 45, takes over from outgoing President J.P. Nadda, 65, months before key state elections. one of them in the eastern state of West Bengal, which the BJP has never won and is strongly focused on. A 5-time lawmaker from the eastern state of Bihar, Navin was elected unopposed as the party's 12th president after Modi and other leaders proposed him. Hundreds of workers watched at party headquarters in New Delhi as Navin, his forehead smeared with a vermilion mark and his shoulders wrapped in a scarf with the party symbol, took the oath of office before Modi and 4 past presidents. When it comes to the party, I am a worker and he is my boss, Modi, 75, said in his remarks, pointing to Navin, who will serve a 3-year term. In his speech, Navin repeatedly praised Modi as a generational leader and urged young people to take an active part in politics. More than 40% of India's 1 billion voters are aged between 18 and 39, the Election Commission and analysts estimate. The BJP suffered a shock setback in the 2024 general election, as Modi lost his majority after 10 years in power and had to rely on regional allies to form a government. It has since regained ground, however, winning critical state and civic body elections. The party and its allies govern 19 of India's 28 states. The International Cricket Council have not held any talks with Scotland about replacing Bangladesh at next month's Men's T20 World Cup, but Scottish players would be ready if the call came. Bangladesh have told the ICC they will not travel to India for the T20 World Cup next month amid political tensions between the two countries, and have requested their matches be moved elsewhere. Scotland are the highest-ranked team, not taking part in the tournament, which would put them in the frame to take Bangladesh's spot should the ICC decide to replace them. However, the ICC have not contacted Cricket Scotland at this stage to discuss whether they would be willing to step in. Equally, Scottish cricket officials are not planning to initiate talks with a global governing body, out of respect to their counterparts at the Bangladesh Cricket Board. A 4th-place finish at last summer's Europe qualifier cost Scotland a place at the 2026 T20 World Cup, as the Netherlands and Italy secured the 2 top spots on offer for the region. And finally, it is often said age is just a number, and that it's never too late to try something new. One 70-year-old man from Uttar Pradesh has proved this in the most heartwarming way. At an age where many people slow down, he picked up a phone and started vlogging. Within just 48 hours, his simple and honest vlogging crossed 22.2 million views on Instagram, turning him into an internet sensation. His honesty and innocence made viewers smile and reminded many of their own parents and grandparents. And that's all from me. You are listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Many thanks, Charmaine, for a lovely item you put together. And indeed, things are changing rapidly in India as usual. Election coming up, and I'm talking about West Bengal election. That has been Bengal is the focus right now, and all sorts of ploy has been deployed. Ploy has been deployed. It's a very good phrase, actually, if you think about it. All sorts of technique has been deployed, all sorts of BJP techniques against the divide, Hindu-Muslim divide and all that. Recently, Vidya Balan has taken up on that issue, and she talked about it, that country is going in a dangerous path of divide Muslims and Hindu. Now, Muslims and Hindu division has been played as a political ploy, leading up to war, murder and killings and all the rest of the bloodshed. That's quite norm, actually, despicable as it is, but that is quite norm in the current dirty politics of BJP. Anyway, what else is going on? As you probably would heard, that crash that she covered that in Ahmedabad Air India flight has discovered that foul play was being not ruled out. But particularly what is going on is something that is very, very dangerous, very, very dangerous. Anyway, world has never changed. World never changes, and the pace of the world never changes either. The topic that I'm going to talk about is the global situation. The global situation is that India is playing its part when it comes to destabilizing Iran. Iran has come up with the kind of suggestion, not suggestion, but that it's something that if you are threatening Iran, we should be able to hopefully able to fix that, because what is going on in the world is that blatant bullying, blatant bullying from all different directions. In fact, what is the different direction? The direction is, if you think about the global situation of green land that has been going on, Iran is one of that. They have already damaged quite a lot of the country by mercenaries, hired people, paid people who were infiltrated, who were orchestrated by Mossad, the intelligence agency of Iran, not Iran, the Mossad, the Israel, and the paid by the Americans. And that is the reason why that country has turned into a unfortunate state of chaos, whereby 200 cities mosque has been burned, 200 mosque has been burned, fire station has been burned, and many other properties, public properties, has been damaged. Roughly around $20 million worth of damage that has been taking place. So therefore, you could see that, and this is something. I mean, if you think about it, what can you do if somebody is bent upon destroying you? If somebody is bent upon hurting you, nobody can actually stop it. And this is something frustrating for the United Nations, because United Nations had no bones in it, and United Nations cannot stop anything. United Nations has been, undermined by the U.S. Resolutions. United Nations resolution has been ignored. Hundreds and thousands of resolutions has been issued against Israel. That's not been implemented. So United Nations is at the place of complacency. That's all I can say, and therefore it's a sad state of affair that nobody out there can stop the bully. And right now, the biggest bully in Davos, with the rich and famous every year, the Davos. In fact, I must dabble into the Davos shenanigan, or the pageantry, rich people that happens. Lavish dinners, lavish, all of that operation happens. Therefore, you could see that, the diplomacy, the diplomacy and the kind of trade shenanigans that goes in Davos, which is farcical, because rich and famous can actually do what they like, and therefore unelected people like Kushner. I mean, Jared Kushner is not an elected politician, but he is with Donald Trump because he is a Donald Trump's son-in-law. Now, if the politics of the biggest power in the world has reduced to this level, what can we say? We say nothing about it, because that's the way it is. And the globally threatened the Greenland to take over by force, by this, that, the other. But fair play to Ursula von der Leyen, that she's sticking up to the whole thing, and she's saying that, look, dare you not to do that. If you do, the consequences for the United States will be dire. So that's what it is, and hopefully you will be able to see that if it can be done, something can be done in Europe. 200% tariff on 20% tariff, 25% tariff. That's all he can do. Tariff, as if he doesn't know anything better. Does he know the humanity? Does he know the peace in the world? Does he know threatening the Norway for not giving him the award, peace, Nobel Peace. I mean, award for what? For creating wars? For creating havoc in the world? By creating tariffs in the world? You need the award? Fair play to Norway, and fair play to the peace process, the Peace Award Committee, for ignoring him. The most despicable man in the world. Somebody is actually has turned into a social media recently on the Facebook and described in one word Donald Trump, and everybody has said this, that, the other, as you can imagine what this, and of course not using a foul language, but I just simply added on sick, S-I-C-K, mentally sick man. But I can't say two words, mentally sick, I just say sick. So that he's a sick man, and that's all I can say. Hopefully he will be removed from his power by the public who put him up there, just like any other vicious people. And therefore, it's a norm for those people who do become this kind of behavior, what they do at the end of the day, and then finally they get the boot and they get kicked off, kicked off from the power. And indeed, that was going to be the fate of this man as well. But Sharad has got another news information until social media and social media ban in Australia. And that is also a very interesting area that I'm really, really interested. What is going on in Australia? Complete ban in a school for under certain age children. And like here, you can see that, children, social media is not very attractive thing, and it destroys the concentration, it destroys timing, it destroys people. I mean, you see, modern communication is becoming a nightmare for a lot of people because it consumes the time. It constantly 24/7 puts your eyes on the phone screen, and that's not good. That's not good for a young mind, particularly young mind. It's okay for the retired people who have nothing else to do it. And that's what I'm experiencing with a lot of my kind of like a distance friends who are nothing to do except looking at their phone 24/7 and then sending stupid things, forwarding reels and that kind of thing. But it's the most awful thing in our lives that has been developed in this particular lifetime. Anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy this particular piece by Sharad Awasthi.
If someone was to ask what is the right age for a teenager to step into the world of social media, it would sound like a simple question, but it isn't. It is one of the hardest questions parents, teachers, doctors, and now governments across the world are being forced to confront. Because social media is no longer just an entertainment. It's an architecture. It shapes attention, emotions, self-worth, sleep, memory, and childhood itself. Now, Australia has taken one of the world's boldest steps. From December 2025, children under the age of 16 are no longer allowed to hold accounts on major social media platforms. Not advised, not nudged, but completely stopped by the government. And the Australian government does not call it a ban, it calls it a delay. So there is a shift in how the full digital exposure will work. So the Prime Minister of Australia puts it simply, this move is meant to keep children safer, take the pressure off the parents, and give young people time to be just children. And the pressure is real, if you would have observed. Globally, the average age at which the children first open a social media account is now between age 10 and 11, despite most platforms officially set the age at 13. According to UNICEF, one of the 3 internet world's user is a child. That's 33%. And the World Health Organization has warned that excessive screen time is linked to rising anxiety, sleep disorders, depression, and attention problems among adolescents. Australia's e-safety commissioner, now many countries do not have one, but then Australia has one e-safety commissioner. So they argue that the problem is not just what children see online, but how platforms are designed. So there are infinite scrolls, algorithmic feeds, which means what you like, they push in, they show you more, and they reward loops driven like shares, likes, outrage. So there is a study by JAMA Pediatrics in 2023, and they found that teens who use social media for more than 3 hours a day had double the risk of developing mental health problems, particularly girls. Another global study of OECD showed teenage girls in high-income countries reporting record low life satisfaction, coinciding with the rise of image-based social platforms. So Australia are the pioneers. They have drawn a line and proactively they have called for this delay of full digital exposure to the teenagers. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, X, YouTube, Reddit, Twitch, and others must now take responsible steps to identify and remove under 16 accounts and prevent new ones from being created. And the penalties are not symbolic. Repeated violations can attract fines of nearly 50 million Australian dollars. Children themselves will not be punished. So this is the shift here. Parents will not be fined. The responsibility rests sparingly on the companies that profit from the attention. This is a crucial shift that we are seeing. For the first time, the government is holding the platforms responsible. Not every platform is including though. Messaging apps like WhatsApp, education tools like Google Classroom, creative or gaming platforms like Roblox and Steam, and child-specific services like YouTube Kids remain exempt for now. So the distinction lies in the purpose why this sort of a ban is being implemented. Is the platform primarily about social broadcasting and algorithmic engagement, or communication, learning, or play? Australia argues that childhood needs space to talk and to learn, to be in the playground, for children to mix among themselves, share and learn. It is not about being monetized. When teenagers turn 16, they can return to social media. Until then, they are encouraged to download their data, shift group chats to safer apps, maybe talk over the mobile. And as it sounds, it's radical, but it is back to future. It is back to create a safe childhood. Now compare it with the rest of the world. The United Kingdom has taken a different route. Its Online Safety Act, which came into force last year, 2025, it does not ban social media by age, but tightly regulates what under 18s can see. So it's like a censorship. Harmful contents, including self-harm, eating disorder material, pornography, and extreme violence, they must be blocked by these platforms. And age verification through facial scans, ID checks, or credit cards are now routine. Yet, the UK government is openly consulting as to whether a full under 16 ban should be followed. Now, facial scans and ID checks, there's another loop to this issue. It leads into privacy concerns, and therefore, it may not be the best solution, yet one good step. Across Europe, the mood is also shifting. France wants to keep under 15s off social media unless parents give explicit consent. Now that is going to lead lots of discontent within a family. Germany already requires parental approval for users aged 13 to 16, and Spain plans to raise its minimum age from 14 to 16. So there are movements in Europe and in Australia, across the world, I would say. People have started to think. Good governments are starting to take action, not on parents, not on children, but on the platforms. And that is slightly a good news. Now in United States, where Silicon Valley built these platforms, several states now require parental consent from under 16 accounts. Meanwhile, the US Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, has compared social media's impact on youth's mental health to tobacco in the earlier 20th century. And the similarity is that the tobacco was widely used before its risk was acknowledged. So somewhere there is a comparison of social media, infinite scrolling, to addiction, to tobacco addiction. And this is the wider truth. For 2 decades, society treated social media as a neutral technology, but it isn't. It's a powerful behavioral system tested on adults and then released on children. So Australia's decision does not resolve everything, if you see, but teenagers will still find workaround because teenagers are smarter. That's a new generation. They will still find workarounds. Technology will keep evolving, but then it resets the moral center of the debate. See, childhood is not a market, and attention is not harmless, and development cannot be crowdsourced to algorithms. So the question is no longer whether children should be protected online. The question is whether the governments are brave enough to say, not now. And that's what exactly Australia is trying to do. That's what exactly the other countries in Europe and Britain are trying to do. Bigger question now, what is it that India is doing? The parents in India are giving the mobile phone in order to get rid of the children's attention because they themselves are busy in something else. Probably they themselves are busy in scrolling the social media. The government has not yet come up with any sort of child protection act where social media is the center of debate. So while India seems to be on the global stage for being ahead in digital technologies, in making digital India, in using digital India, what India is lacking is the safe use of social media amongst the youth, amongst the children. And that's where the health of Indians, the mental health of Indians would rest upon. The kind of mental health issues that we are seeing in children of India is absolutely worrisome. And imagine if a generation of these children with mental health issues have to be placed on the borders of India. How serious will that be a crisis? We need to protect our children. We need to protect the Indian youth against the ill effects and addictive ill effect equivalent to tobacco consumption. We have to protect the future of India. We have to protect the future of Indian children and youth, which is no less than, I would say, drug abuse, because it is affecting the personality of India. With those concerns, I leave you until next week. Stay safe, stay informed, and dutifully ask questions. After all, somebody has to stand up. Bye for now.
Dublin South FM. You wouldn't buy a car without knowing its history. So why would you buy a story without knowing who's telling it? Come here and I tell you. It's not always easy to verify what you see, read, or hear. But now there's help. Visit www.bemediasmart.ie. Stop, think, check. Be Media Smart. Brought to you by Media Literacy Ireland, supported by RTE. 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Welcome back to the programme. Indeed, this is 93.9 Dublin South FM, broadcasting from Galtendrum Town Centre. And your local broadcaster is here until 4 o'clock. And there you go. So, mental health is an issue that I've wanted to talk about it for quite some time. And Sharad has brought me to naturally at this point to talk about the mental health, which is a very big thing worldwide, whether it's for children or whether it's the adult. Eventually, what happens is that brain is a very supple, instrument, brain inside your skull. The muscle, the flexi-fluid muscles that you have actually seen in pictures is a very, very delicate, instrument. And if you have spent enough time in the world by absorbing all sorts of nonsense, abuses, pressures, surviving skills, and have spent a fair bit of time in the world, your brain itself becomes a little bit of problematic. And if there's a shock, if there is if right from the early stages, if it's been damaged for using the social media, mobile phone, all of that, eventually it will affect your brain. So what do? You do what's the last program last week, we talked about it, the Mind, Body and Spirit program by Redell Nascimento from Brazil. Redell Nascimento has mentioned that. She's a qualified practitioner of mind, body, and spirit, that you need to clarify and you need to clear the air in your head by doing something very, very simple and not doing too much. Because if the tendency is doing too much is something that is the problematic these days. We have so much information on our palm technology, on the phone, and we try to actually do too many things in a too little time. That the time that you have since you get up in the morning until you go to bed at night, you try to actually squeeze everything. The normal things, such as your own health, the hygiene, the cleaning, the teeth, started from the teeth to the body to everything else. And if you have in the habit of exercising in the morning, trying to breakfast, all of that creates a huge amount of pressure on you, attention on you, and then in between you are actually trying to reply the telephone calls, you're trying to see the messages, you're trying to replace them. All of that is nonsense. So be selective. Who do you reply? When to reply? You don't have to reply immediately afterward. Immediately as soon as you hear the bell, tung, or whatever the bell you have. So that you got to protect yourself. These are onslaught behavior from the outside world. They don't know what your day is going to be shaping like. They don't know what you're doing. People can call you anytime. Even I'm here, I'm recording, and I receive a phone call. People obviously don't have understanding or thinking that on Wednesday afternoon I record my program, which goes on air on Thursday afternoon. It's a pre-recorded program, by the way. It's not a live program. But and I shouldn't tell you that. But I'm saying that people can call you anytime because people are obsessed with their own behavior, with their own whatever they want from you. Now, this one from you is another thing that I've been experiencing over the years. If you're kind and nice to anybody, people will try to take advantage of you. Obviously, people are helpless. They're trying to go from A to B, trying to get things done from Billy to Joe or what trouble they are in. So, and they perceive you as a solution provider, and perceive you as some sort of a helper, because by nature you are a helper, by nature you are a good person. So be careful with that. Don't be so gullible is the word. Don't be sucked into it. I learned this hard way because over the years I had been very kind to people, which I still am, and I still do help people, but no longer I'm going to suck myself into the other people's problem. And the other one is like people think that, you have contacts. Yes, even if you have a contact, work it out yourself. I mean, how you work it out. If you have an issue, then use your brains, not an easy way by texting somebody, by calling somebody, hey, sort out my problem. Hey, sort out yourself. So therefore, this is a very big lesson that I've learned. And now I don't help people anymore. This is what bottom line is. Anyway, this is the way it is, and it's going to be for the minute. That's the way I feel like it, because the world is crumbling upon me. All sorts of problems, all sorts of international problems, all sorts of issues, dealing with the society, dealing with the community, dealing with the family members, and all that is just too much, Therefore, you got to be selective and therefore protect your brain. Your mental balance is very important because your mental brain is the only instrument that you have to navigate yourself to the next step, to the next day, to the next week, next month. And so therefore, it's important for you to live in the world with peace of mind. Peace of mind. A lot of people say, oh, I'm retired. I've done my work, a day's work. I'm retired. Yes, you've been slaving 9 to 5. You've been commuting from A to B, going back to work, doing a job for 40 years or 30 years, or 50 years, or whatever the years you've been. But even then, when you're retired, your brain is empty. You have nothing else to do it but to bother other people. This is another point that I wanted to make, that people should not bother other people just because they have plenty of time in their hands. So these are just my thoughts on social media. And social media is something that is very, very dangerous, and it can affect your brain. In those days when there was no social media, no mobile phones, life was a little bit better and cleaner. Without further ado, I have something to play today, and I'll talk about it, the reason for playing these songs. But sit back, relax, and enjoy this first track.
चांद सी महबूबा हो मेरी, कब ऐसा मैंने सोचा था। हाँ, तुम बिल्कुल वैसी हो जैसा मैंने सोचा था। चांद चांद सी महबूबा हो मेरी कब ऐसा मैंने सोचा था हाँ तुम बिल्कुल वैसी हो जैसा मैंने सोचा था ना शिकवे हैं ना वादे हैं ना कसमें हैं ना रस्में हैं ना शिकवे हैं ना वादे हैं एक सूरत भोली भाली है दोनों ना सीधे सादे हैं दोनों ना सीधे सादे हैं ऐसा ही रूप ख्यालों में था ऐसा मैंने सोचा था हाँ तुम बिल्कुल ऐसी हो जैसा मैंने सोचा था मेरे गम भी सहना चाहे मेरी खुशियाँ ही ना बांटे मेरे गम भी सहना चाहे देखे ना ख्वाब वो महलों के मेरे दिल में रहना चाहे मेरे दिल में रहना चाहे इस दुनिया में कौन था ऐसा जैसा मैंने सोचा था हाँ तुम बिल्कुल ऐसी हो जैसा मैंने सोचा था चांद सी महबूबा हो मेरी कब ऐसा मैंने सोचा था हाँ तुम बिल्कुल वैसी हो जैसा मैंने सोचा था हाँ तुम बिल्कुल वैसी हो जैसा मैंने सोचा था
Yeah, my friend, that is something which is very good to listen to the old songs. Then why? Because the poetry in old songs is very, very, very touching, which no longer is available in these days in the movies, particularly in the movies, because the culture has changed, because the people's sentiments have changed. What is bothering me that is not something that is going to change because of the people who are basically trying to actually trying to save the situation here is that people are beginning to realize that that is something that is no longer the case about the kind of response that you get from public and from the people who have trying to say something through the poetry in the songs. That has changed, and no longer those words, the lyrics that has been talked about it, are relevant anymore, and people are beginning to realize that it is something that is not happening out there because of the culture change. And so, therefore, the response in people's to each other is very, very different. People can't talk about each other's feeling. People can't talk about each other's, whatever the people are, sentimentally, worked up into their own lives, whether it's male or a female. People have too many things to wrapped up with. Too many things to do, as I said earlier on, because of perhaps this, culprit phone in your hand, and in particularly the on-screen technology that you have now. Okay, it's beneficial. You can watch reels, you can watch the news, you can have instant information about a crash in Spain. By the way, it was awful train crash in Spain last week. High-speed train after 14 years, a major crash happened in the third largest or fastest train network in the world, after France and Japan, France, and Spain probably be the third one. Anyway, so all of that makes it unbelievably. Who knows? The watchman could be the train driver, could be looking at this phone screen. Never know. Although these are automatic, things, autopilot things happens. But this distraction, as I said, this awful distraction that is happening is taking away our concentration, our mental ability. I've noticed these things in my children's behavior as well, because although they are very good children and they are all very hardworking and all that at their study stages, but you could see that a behavioral change because they're constantly on the phone. Sometimes they're working, their homework has been given by the phone and all that. But that's the theme. Today's theme is very important. In the context of the songs, Chand si mehbooba ho meri. But these are the kind of flowery words. Nobody uses that. Even if you say that to the girl, she will throw it back to you because that's not nonsense. He said, you are very romantic in your heart. I'm too practical and I have to earn living and all of that is sort of like things which is no longer used to be the case in the early days when the phones were not around. Anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy the second track that I've taken to from 𝐀𝐩𝐧𝐚 𝐑𝐚𝐲, the best duet of the music.
किसी के इंतजार का दिल ना चुरा ले कहीं मेरा मौसम बहार का ये समा है ये प्यार का
चंदन सा बदन चंचल चितवन धीरे से तेरा ये मुस्काना चंदन सा बदन चंचल चितवन धीरे से तेरा ये मुस्काना मुझे दोष न देना जगवालों मुझे दोष न देना जगवालों हो जाऊं अगर मैं दीवाना चंदन सा बदन चंचल चितवन काम कमान भवे तेरी पलकों के किनारे कजरारे ये काम कमान भवे तेरी पलकों के किनारे कजरारे माथे पर सिंदूरी सूरज होठों पे दहकते अंगारे साया भी जो तेरा पड़ जाए साया भी जो तेरा पड़ जाए आबाद हो दिल का वीराना चंदन सा बदन चंचल चितवन मन भी सुंदर तू सुंदरता की मूरत है तन भी सुंदर मन भी सुंदर तू सुंदरता की मूरत है किसी और को शायद कम होगी मुझे तेरी बहुत जरूरत है पहले भी बहुत मैं तरसा हूँ पहले भी बहुत मैं तरसा हूँ तू और न मुझको तरसाना चंदन सा बदन चंचल चितवन धीरे से तेरा ये मुस्काना मुझे दोष न देना जगवालों मुझे दोष न देना जगवालों हो जाऊं अगर मैं दीवाना चंदन सा बदन चंचल चितवन
जी मेरे भाई चंचल चितवन चंदन का बदन beautiful song by Kalyanji Anandji and that's the duet I'm playing today the song so time is ticking up and I have few minutes to play and this I want to wrap up the program today because of the situation in the world the global situation and the Davos I must dabble into it that what makes a person how Switzerland has become the two things I'm obsessed with. A, the United Nations headquarters in New York. Why is in New York? Why not in Dublin? Why not in different countries? The subdivision of, United Nations, because United Nations mean all nations are united and they are not fragmented. And if that is the case, the United Nations must act for aggressively and decisively to stop a madman like Donald Trump to create havoc in the world, in businesses, in the countries, and indeed blatantly create wars. Because wars are no longer the solution for the nations, except the fact that they destroy nation, they destroy the country, they destroy people, they hurt people, they destroy businesses, and completely, turn the country upside down. But certain countries take in what I call it, and enjoy doing that, destabilizing other nations, and particularly when it comes to, let me say this, Muslim nations, because that's what it is. So there's a talk going on by creating a Muslim NATO by Turkey, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Iran, and many other countries are talking about it. And why not? It's better than late than never before, better than late than never, is something that need to be talked about it. These are the people, 1.5 billion people in the world. If they cannot create their own army, under the aegis of the Muslim NATO, then what's not? And at least then if any of those countries gets attacked or threatened by so-called non-Muslim countries and non-Muslim majority nations who have no respect for the other nations and other countries, as we have witnessed recently by obliterating the Gaza completely. Nobody's talking about Gaza, by the way. Gaza is something that has gone now from the people's conscience because people's conscience is very short. And if it's not in the news, if it's not in the, not in the mind, it's gone. So therefore, it's important that you must keep at it all of those issues. The world requires peaceful solution. Not every country as rich as Qatar. Qatar has a solution for everybody just because they have money. No country in the world can give a gold aeroplane to Donald Trump to keep him off because he is a greedy, materialistic guy. And so they realize that the kind of nature that he is. So they're giving him a gold-plated, gold-filled aeroplane. And, but not majority of the countries don't have that sort of wealth. It's a tiny country, but trillions and trillions and dollars of wealth there. Anyway, so the war has always been on for resources because the Greenland resources, and the explanation of Mr. Donald Trump is, if I don't take it, somebody else will. Hey, hello, somebody else before you has taken anything? about Greenland? Who the hell you are to take the wealth of another, country. I gave the analogy actually last week of our butter, because the quality of our Kerrygold is very much liked by the Americans, by the way. And so therefore they can come and take away our butter and will say, oh, we'll take it over because if you don't, somebody else will. What kind of a nonsense the brain level, the grey matter level this gentleman has. Anyway, gentle? Forget it. Anyway, another track, and sit back, relax, and enjoy this particular track.
सूरज की पहली किरणों को देखा तूने अलसाते हुए, सूरज की पहली किरणों को देखा तूने अलसाते हुए, रातों में तारों को देखा सपनों में खो जाते हुए, यूं किसी न किसी बहाने किसी न किसी बहाने तूने देखा सब संसार, तूने देखा सब संसार, दर्पण को देखा तूने जब जब किया सिंगार। काजल की किस्मत क्या कहिए, नैनों में तूने बसाया है, काजल की किस्मत क्या कहिए, नैनों में तूने बसाया है, आंचल की किस्मत क्या कहिए, तूने अंग लगाया है। मेरे मितवा आजा तुझको पुकारे मेरे गीत रे, मेरे गीत रे, ओ मेरे मितवा, मेरे मित रे, आजा तुझको पुकारे मेरे गीत रे, मेरे गीत रे, ओ मेरे मितवा। नाम न जानूं तेरा देश न जानूं, नाम न जानूं तेरा देश न जानूं, कैसे मैं भेजूं संदेश न जानूं, ये फूलों की ये रुत न जाए बीत रे, आजा तुझको पुकारे मेरे गीत रे, मेरे गीत रे, ओ मेरे तरसेगी कब तक प्यासी नजरिया तरसेगी कब तक प्यासी नजरिया बरसेगी कब मेरे.
So that's it for folks, and the time is really up, and I would like you to listen to this particular song as well. Beautiful song, Mere Mitwa, but Meri Tamannaon Ki Taqdeer Tum. Now these days nobody talks about this kind of poetry anymore because people don't believe in peoples anymore. Neither girls believe in men, nor men believes in girls. And so therefore, this kind of poetry, I don't know if it's applicable these days. I would like to think that people should be able to listen to these type of poetry and brood it over and implement there in their lives. That's all I can say. At that note, I must say goodbye to you. Be positive, be helpful to each other, be loving to each other, and enjoy your mental health, and sit back and relax and enjoy this particular track. Bye for now. I'll be back same time, same place next week. Hope you like the show, and thank you for listening. Bye for now.
प्यासी है जिंदगी और मुझे प्यार दो और मुझे प्यार दो गगन मंडप है सारा जग बराती सारा जग बराती सारा गगन मंडप है सारा जग बराती मन के फेरे सच्चे सच्चे हैं